family is a way I would describe BMPC.
I came here as a new bride in 1956 with my husband. With the love and warmth in our family, I have felt that here in this church.
The thing that I have experienced so much here at Bryn Mawr is a sense of home. When I was very, very young, we used to come here to see Nana and Granddaddy. Granddaddy was Harold Tapscott Smith, who was the first associate pastor, and he and Nana lived here in Converse House.
The church family connection has been felt by members and non-members through the years and various events.
Married here, both our children were baptized here, both our children were married here. 2 out of our 4 grandchildren were baptized here. So yeah, the church has been the center of our life.
I was asked to be in charge of the first children's theater production for the church. And we did Noah's Flood by Benjamin Britten. We had over 250 children involved, which was amazing.
In 1992, Claire and Jim Mackey were married at the church.
Claire and I had worked with both Dr. Wadamulder and Dr. Bay. And so we had both of them marry us. And the choir was wonderful because many people in the choir volunteered to sing at our wedding.
Events are generally remembered through photographs and stories, but some are memorialized in a bigger way.
We went down and we saw all these magnificent sculptures, and one of which was a shepherd. We thought, what a great idea to have this type of representation at Bryn Mawr. So we came back and talked to Dr. Bay, who had also seen the exhibition. And then Claire and I thought that it would be great to be able to have this maybe on the church property as a permanent fixture. Trying to make this an inclusive type church, we also decided that we should have a ewe and a ram accompanying the shepherd. We worked with the sculptor, went down to his studios, watched him cast it. With Jeffrey Brillhart and Dr. Bay working with us on this, we've selected a position for the sculpture. And then we had a contractor from Ardmore who had done some stonework for us. And it happened to be that my aunt, whose memory this was placed for, taught in the education building, did the cradle roll for many, many years. And then at the age of 65, got married for the first time. And she was married by Dr. Wadamulder in the chapel. So the position of the sculpture is at a right angle between the entrance to the education center and lined up with the altar.
On April 6th of the year 2006, it was more or less the 100th anniversary of my mother's birth. She died, was a longtime member of this church, and we had a dedication of a sculpture done by Nina Bryans, a member of this congregation, which is downstairs in the congregational hall. And we convened all of our family. I have 3 younger sisters scattered around the country, and then various cousins, shirt-tail relatives. George Hollingshead performed the service, and that was very meaningful as a single event.
Art is significant in many aspects of Bryn Mawr Presbyterian's church life.
The church does a lot in terms of visual arts, and there are usually 3 to 4 exhibits every year. In 2001, I was in charge of an art exhibit, and it became a community affair so that we had poetry, paintings, personal stories about people involved.
Personal stories and the arts have been a connection with congregants and missions in the community.
I joined the peacemaking task force it was suggested that I contact Mothers in Charge, that might be a resource for referrals to develop the idea. And so I did, and I met with the founder and director, Dorothy Johnson-Spite, in July of '06. And she was very interested and said it would be something I could do there. One of them was a calendar that I did with my photographs, as well as those of Ruth Donnelly, who is a co-founding member. Some of them are hers. I was asked to write some pieces for the Mothers in Charge first book, Faces of Courage. Standing sort of at the beginning of all of this was a photograph that I had done, Millennial Dawn.
There are also events that not only affect the church, but affect the world.
I was in the World Trade Center South Tower on 9/11 when the plane hit it, and it changed my life. I was there, walked out of the building, followed basically instructions, and then I was there for the, say, 3.5 blocks away when the South Tower collapsed. It was obviously a challenging day, but I had an opportunity to speak with Pastor Gene Bay later that afternoon. And that was important for a whole multitude of reasons. And then on the following Sunday, 9/11 was a Tuesday, Gene gave a sermon that I think everyone in the church remembers. The sanctuary was packed, and my whole family was there. And he said, "I knew you'd be here today." And he didn't mention me by name, but he said a member of our congregation walked out of the building alive. And that was just wonderful for me. It was very comforting and therapeutic, and it was great to share that with my family.
But the events that linger in the hearts and minds year after year are the ones celebrating the life and breath of the church.
I think it's always about Christmas Eve or Easter services. I've sung in the choir for 40+ years, and I've always tried to be here for those services because they're particularly meaningful, and it's a wonderful opportunity for the choir to sing, and it's such an important part of the church year.
Did you ever wonder who keeps the church adorned with those beautiful flowers?
I do the arranging probably 3/4 of the Sundays of the year. Members who donate the flowers for Sunday are donating them as a memorial to someone they have loved, which makes it rather special for me because I am then able to relate to that fact. This is not just going for a dinner party, this is not just going for a wedding, not that I don't like doing weddings, I do, but this is different when it's a beloved mother or a father or something like this, or even a child, which makes it a little tough, believe it or not, when you're arranging. I come in on Saturday mornings with buckets of flowers, I set the vases up, I do the arrangements, and then the following morning, Sunday morning, I go in before choir and make sure nothing has collapsed or done something absolutely horrible. So that's basically what I do with the flowers here.